if you want to enter your trades like a pro, then most of the times it's not much about the trading strategy that you are using, but knowing which steps of entries you should take when you're using that strategy. So I don't care if you're using moving averages, order blocks, or supply and demand, or you're using zone flips, whatever you're using, or trend lines, whatever it is. Then, but want to enter in like a pro, then you have to know the type of pullback to enter, right? So we all know that we are trading with the trend, right? I just preach trading with the trend, right? So if you are trading with the trend, you have to know which types of pullback you have to enter, right? So pullbacks, the market, we want to see pullbacks in the market so that we get what? We get our entries. If the market doesn't pull back and just goes straight like this, we won't be able to enter because I can't enter here because I'm too scared that the market might start reversing. So I want to wait for those pullbacks. I want to see those pullbacks. That's what I want, right? But the main point comes down to which types of pullbacks should I enter, because the market is always going to pull back here and there, of course, but not every pullback works, right? So it's not much about which strategy you are using, it's much about which pullback you should enter, right? So all the pullbacks can work, but it's just with trading, it's just better to be on the safe side, right? So to just be on the better side, on the safer side, just to avoid the probability of even losing, right? So how do you know that your key areas of interest, either using moving averages or whatever? I'm not going to be going much into depth about that, right? So the types of pullbacks that we want to see is flags, wedges, triangles, symmetrical or declining, whatever they are, you, symmetrical, ascending, descending, right? Whatever they are, we just want to see some type of pullback that is in a what, consolidating manner, or it's showing a slowdown momentum. So a slowdown momentum is, let's say this is what we went down over here, and then for the pullback, we're pulling back. Maybe it starts with what, with large green candle, and then it starts giving us what, smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So this is also a good pullback, or a pullback that's even giving us green candle. It's just alternating between green candle, red candle, green candle, red candle, something like that, right? So that's what we want to look for in the market, right? So right over here, those are the types of pullbacks that we want to enter, right? So I'm not talking much about the strategy that you're supposed to be using, but yeah, or strategies that I encourage you to enter. This is just for the main chart. I'm not talking about the indicator window, right? So for the main chart, the strategies that I encourage are, of course, the moving average, because those are my favorite, right? I use moving average most of the time, right? So moving averages, then order blocks. Order blocks, I just summarize them into supply and demand. They're just one and the same thing, right? And then zone flips, right? Those are the three, right? And then trend lines, yeah, but I don't use trend lines most of the times. Usually, why? Because I have my moving averages. Of my moving average is just like what, dynamic support and resistance. So like my moving trend lines, right? So I usually don't use moving averages, but they surely, I don't usually don't use trend lines, but they surely do work, right? I'm just, maybe it's just because I'm a little bit lazy, right? So whoever is lazy like me, I think you are going to run to use moving averages. So the moving averages that I use are the 50 and the 200 moving average exponential, both apply to close, right? So what we want to see is this type of pullback over here, right? So let's say maybe if you are if marked what, this area over here. So this is your zone flip area over here, and you also have what, an order block over some over here, because that was the last green candle for the breaking market structure, right? So over here, right, as you can see, when we are pulling back, right, we are continuously giving us what, green candles, red candles, green candle, red candles, green candles, red candles, right? So this is the slowdown in momentum that we want to see, right? We want to see a slowdown in momentum, right, so that we will be able to what, to enter into that trade, right? So this just gives us a further confirmation that we are likely going to what, to respect the next area of interest, right? So this area of interest, that's what we are likely going to respect, because we are what, we are going what, we are slowing down in what, in momentum, right? So over here again, right, let's take this example over here. We've got a pullback, right? And as you can see, when you start reaching this area of interest over here, right, we start giving us red candles, green candles, red candles, and green candles, and then we start going down, right? So that's the type of pullback that we want to see, right? These types of pullback, this one is a little bit better because the candlesticks are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So those are the types of pullbacks that I want to see. Let me just check if there's an example where okay, let's, right, so right over here you have marked what, so let's say you marked this resistance over here, this resistance area over here, right? So as you can see, when the market is approaching that area, as you can see, the market has a lot of momentum, right? The candlesticks aren't getting any smaller, right? They aren't getting any smaller, they aren't giving any alternating between green and red candles, right? As you can see, it's just going up, it's just shooting up, right? So if you had marked this area as your area of interest, then ignore it, just neglect it, right? So because why? Because the market is just giving us green candles, green candle, green candle, and it's increasing momentum, right? So this just shows that the market is what has a lot of momentum, and it is likely going to break past that area of interest, right? So it's better if you just go and mark what the next area of interest, right? Though this seemed like it wanted to respect it, but it even broke out even further, right? Because as you can see, when we were approaching it, we gave red candles, green candle, red candles, right? This one I would have entered, right? Though my stop loss would have been hit, but I would have entered because it's a little bit better rather than entering here where I already know, where I've already been given signs that that area is not going to be respected, and I still want to force the market. You don't have to force things. It's just like you are raping the market if you want to force it, right? So don't force the market to do what it doesn't want to do, right? So that's what you just have to do, right? We've got the zone flip area over here, we've got a moving average over here, right? So as you can see, we're slowing down momentum, giving us red candles, green candles, red candles, green candles. That's the type of pullback that we want to see. It's actually the best pullback that you can come across, right? So this is actually the best thing that you can do, right? So that you get the sweetest entries, whichever strategy that you're using, right? You'll get the best entries using this, because if you are able just to define your types of pullbacks, your types of candlesticks. So I encourage that you learn more about candlesticks so that you'll be able to mark those areas. You'll be able to see what the candlesticks are telling you, right? So over here, we've got what this order block over here, and we've got what this zone flip over here, right? As you can see, the pullback, right, is increasing momentum, right? It's not giving us what red candles or whatever, right? It's just going up, right? So we all know that this first zone flip over here is going to be is likely going to be broken, not going to be broken. Market is uncertain because most of the times they also respect, but it's just better to avoid them, right? So over here we are no longer anticipating that a reversal over here because there's a lot of momentum, right? And when we are approaching this order block and moving average, we are also not going to be considering entering over there because the market still has a lot of momentum. So I just suggest that you just move on to the next area of interest, right? So which is that resistance over there and this moving average over here. And as you can see, we started slowing down when we approached that moving average, then we continued going down, right? So being able to define the type of pullback is going to help you very much, right? It's going to help you make it's going to make a large difference between someone who knows this and someone who doesn't, right? So if you want to learn more about this, then I suggest that you learn more about candlestick patterns and candlesticks and flags and all those continuation patterns and reversal patterns, right? So you have to learn those in order to and combine them all into becoming what actually the best, right? It doesn't matter which strategy that you're using because they all work, right? But there are some others, but others don't work, of course. But most of the proper strategies, they do work using this strategy, right? So if you want to learn more strategies that you can use, then subscribe to my channel or check out the other videos that I post where I talk about zone. If you want to know more about zone flips, order blocks, or supply and demand, or even moving averages, I usually use them in each and every video. So if you watch any video, then you are guaranteed that you learn a thing or two from that. Right? So that's it, and I hope you become the best version of yourself, guys.